Okay, so the next section that we are going to look at is just the very top of page 12 of your student handbook, levels of consequences for student misconduct. Consequences will be assigned to students who do not follow the rules of conduct set forth in this student handbook. Consequences that may be assigned to help correct and reinforce expected behaviors standards include, but are not limited to, so these are the consequences that you might receive: a W in your agenda, lunch detention in teachers' classrooms, Saturday school, that's from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Saturday. That's not fun. I've heard from students in the past that once they've gone to Saturday school for chewing gum or something of that nature, they decided that they were never going back. In-school suspension, it's known as ISS. It's in a room at Holt. Students in ISS may not participate in regular classes or extracurricular school activities for that day. So any clubs or anything like that, you are not welcome to go to on an ISS day. You also can't do things like the play, the theater, musical, things like that. So make sure that you are not going to ISS, because it can affect things in your things that you do fun here at school as well. Out of school suspension, known as OSS, and students may not participate in any classes or extracurricular school activities for that day either. That is things that could be on or off Holt campus. So maybe there was something organized that would be off campus, but you would not be welcome to that activity. And also expulsion, which means you cannot go to school here anymore. Note, Holt Middle School reserves the right to pursue disciplinary or legal action for behavior which is subversive to good order and discipline in the schools, even though such behavior is not specifically mentioned in this handbook. So if you're doing something that's illegal, we could even take legal action. So be very careful. Make sure you're minding your P's and Q's, and you're making sure that you're just taking care of yourself. The next big section is student services, academic services. In addition to the curriculum offered in the regular classroom, Holt Middle School also provides specialized services for students who qualify. These services include English learners, EL, for students with limited English proficiency. 2, gifted and talented, GT, for students needing acceleration. So you would know if you're a part of one of those programs. If you're a student who is learning English for the very first time, or maybe you are a longtime GT student, you would know if you were a part of that program. Title I, for students needing remedial intervention in literacy and or math. Holt is a school-wide Title I school, meaning that Title I funds can be used to assist all students, not just a targeted population. Parents and patrons may request a copy of how Title I funds are allocated by requesting a copy of the school's improvement plan, known as ACSIP, A-C-S-I-P. So that basically means that we have money here at Holt used to help students who are struggling with reading or writing or math. And your teachers will use that when they see that it is necessary with a student. Oftentimes there's conversations with parents, there's placement with certain teachers to work on certain skills. You might be a really great reader and maybe we need a little bit help with writing, or a really great writer and we need some help with reading, or maybe we're struggling in math. So it doesn't mean that we need help in all areas. We just make sure that we help you in that specific area that we're seeing some needs. Special education for students with specific learning disabilities and vision, hearing, emotional, or cognitive impairments. AIPs, academic improvement plans, for students scoring below proficient on the state exam. And those are something that we hand out after our standardized test towards the end of the year. We may do that earlier in the year this year. I'm not really sure quite yet with the switching around of tests, but AIPs are something that we use based on those standardized tests. Rti Response to intervention, for students not progressing academically or behaviorally in the classroom. interventions of increasing intensity until academic or behavioral progress is verified, or a referral for special education testing is made. So if we're not seeing that you are growing in areas that we know you're receiving help and you should be growing, that is when you would be an RTI student. And we do send paperwork home for things like that to inform parents. Read 180, System 44, Lexia, Q Reads, RAS Kids for students needing intervention to help them catch up to grade level in reading skills. So if you're a part of one of those programs, you would know. Just because you're doing one of those programs, though, does not mean that you are falling behind. Some teachers use those programs in order to keep everyone on grade level. For instance, I use RAS Kids and Reading A to Z to keep my students on grade level. That's also a fantastic tool for checking reading levels now that we don't have that MAPS test. So just because you're doing a program like that doesn't mean that you're behind. It might just be a tool that we're using to keep you on grade level and to keep you where you are and to make sure that we're checking the pulse on your skills, so to speak. So it's kind of a tool in our kit. Section 504, Accommodation Plans for Students with Disabilities. Parents wishing to inquire about particular services for their student should contact the child's teacher or counselor. So if your parents ever have a question, or if you have a question, definitely have your parents send an email, and we will make sure that we figure out where you fall on that scale, if you are receiving services, where your parents think you need services. A lot of times we have to take it to our SPED designees or the counselor or somebody. So if you have a question, get it to us ASAP so that we can get that information for you. Good? Okay, guidance and counseling services. So our guidance counselor this year is Miss Corrigan. The Holt counselor offers direct services to all students by conducting regularly scheduled classes to assist students in developing and maintaining the skills needed to maximize their potential. So Ms. Corrigan will come in and teach classes, probably in your social studies class or your science class. The counselor is also available to meet with individual students to help with vocational, educational, or personal concerns. Information given to the counselor is confidential and will not be released to others without express permission from the student. So she will not tell anybody what you tell them unless you tell her that that's okay, or unless for some reason it is something that your teachers need to know or that other people need to know. But it's generally confidential. Anything that you tell them is just between you and her, which is really nice. The exception to this is when the safety of the student and or others is in question, or if a law is being broken as well. So if there's a safety thing, or if maybe there's something illegal going on, that's when we might need to tell somebody else about what you have said. Students, teachers, or parents may make counseling referrals. So I might say, hey, Susie Q needs to go see the counselor for a specific reason, and then Miss Corrigan would make sure that she saw that student. The counselor's offices will be open during normal school hours. Students may request counseling services by leaving a note for the counselor in the main office, by informing the counselor in person, or by asking a teacher. So if you ask me, I'm not going to go directly to her. More than likely, I'm going to send her an email or write her a note and stick it on her door, and that way she can get to you when she has an opening in her schedule, because she's seeing a lot of different students and she has a lot to do throughout her day. Parents may contact their child's counselor by calling the office, 527-3670, and asking for Jane Corrigan. That's your counselor. Health services. Nurse. A full-time nurse is available at the school. Students needing to visit with the nurse must report to the main office. She conducts health screenings for hearing, vision, scoliosis, and body mass index. She consults with students, parents, and staff for concerning health issues and personal hygiene. And she keeps records on student immunizations in accordance with Arkansas state guidelines to assist HMS staff in following the district head lice protocol. Illness. Students with a contagious condition should not attend school. A student who becomes ill or is determined to be contagious at some time during the school day will have his parents contacted for checkout from school. Students should be free from fever and or vomiting for 24 hours before returning to school. So if you wake up with a fever or you're throwing up, please don't come to school. Just have your parents call in. And if you get to school and you're feeling like you have a fever or you are going to throw up, please let us know. We'll send you the nurse and she will do a little bit of a screening on you. Immunizations. All students must have records indicating that they have the immunization requirements issued by the state of Arkansas. Students may not attend school without this verification. So those shots that you have to get before the school year begins, those are immunizations, and you have to make sure that you get those taken care of before you come to school. We're going to go ahead and stop at immunizations.